teachings. We're in the 14th book and the final book of Maimonides' teachings. We're in the book of of courts. And part of courts is the laws of witnesses. How do you deal with witnesses in a legal proceeding? So we're in chapter 11. One does not read the written law, nor study the oral Torah, nor carry on ordinary social relationships, can be assumed to be a wicked and is disqualified. One who does not, I'm sorry, I need a coffee. One who does not read the written law, nor study, right, nor study the oral law, right, can be considered, 1 second, continue to let people in, please, nor carry on ordinary social relationships, right? Like they, a normal way of the world, can be assumed to be wicked and is disqualified as a witness according to rabbinic decree. So not a biblical law, but there's a rabbinic law that, again, someone who does not study the Torah or engage in social normal conduct, with people, they would be assumed as wicked. And what's important over here, because one of the qualifications to be a witness is not to be wicked, but such a person. Now, wicked doesn't mean that you did terrible things, but wicked means that you may do sinful things. That's what it means, right? And if you don't study Torah, then, what's going to be, what's your barometer of morality? If it's not the Torah, that means that you're the barometer. Well, that's wicked, right? And it's interesting about social interaction, that's how important it is that you be part of a community and you're not just a hermit onto your own. Rational is that whatever a person has descended to such a degree, it can be assumed that he will transgress most transgressions that will present themselves to him. Right? That's the key over here. That we can't trust that person is going to live an appropriate life, and therefore we can trust them as a witness that they won't lie. It's just about the social. Why is the social so important? Is, we have to be honest with ourselves, not just study of Torah, but if you live amongst people, everybody wants to be, what's the word? People want that people should like them and that people should think good of them, right? No one wants, a normal person doesn't want that someone should think bad about them. That's normal. But you know what's good about that? That you won't sin because of that. You'll sin less because you're concerned, because you're part of a community, that you live amongst a community that naturally will keep you on the straight and narrow more so, right? We're talking about a person here who's decided, I don't want this. For this reason, unlearned people should not be designated as witnesses, nor do we accept such person's testimony unless it is established that they observe the mitzvahs, perform acts of kindness. We're taking this on as a general rule, what we just said. Now, that ignorant person, if we know they observe Shabbos and they keep kosher and they do, right? The fact they're ignorant isn't being held against them, but that has to be proven. I mean, proven that, that we know that this person is as such a person, conducts himself in an upright manner, and carries on normal social relationships. Testimony of such a person may be accepted even though he is unlearned and unfamiliar with both the written and the oral law. You might say, well, how did you learn to keep Shabbos? Because the truth is you don't learn to keep Shabbos because you read it in a book. Excuse me, I need a stretching machine. Where do you learn to keep Shabbos? From your family, right? To tradition. It's passed down from, from parent to child. So that's really where you got it from. So you didn't have to learn it. Today we don't have that so much. First of all, that's only in the last it's in the less than 100 years, right? It's been that not necessarily it's passed down from parent to child. But before that, it was always that way. Always. I mean, obviously you're gonna have, those that don't fit that general principle, the general rule, but that was a general rule. Okay, that's why may conclude that any Torah scholar may be assumed to be acceptable as a witness unless he's disqualified. So now it's the other way around. When it comes to a Torah scholar, we can assume that he's acceptable, right, as a witness, unless he's disqualified. You know, he acted like this and like that, right? And any unlearned person may be assumed to be unacceptable unless it is established that he follows the just path. Halacha number 4. Whoever accepts the testimony of an unlearned person before it is established that possesses the above positive qualities, or before witnesses come and testify that he observes the mitzvahs and carries on ordinary social relationship, is a commoner and will be required to face judgment. For he has forfeited the financial resources of the Jews on the basis of a testimony of the wicked. Because now this court has accepted a wicked person that should not have been accepted, and therefore the ruling will not be an appropriate Torah ruling, and therefore you forfeited someone's money. I mean, perhaps, right? You forfeited someone's money because you made a ruling based on this witness that you shouldn't have, and therefore you took money from a person that shouldn't have been taking money, for example, right? That clear? Okay. Halacha number 5. Similarly, base people are disqualified as witnesses by rabbinic decree. Base people, what does that mean? Absolutely. Yeah, this refers to people who walk through the marketplace eating in the presence of everyone. Those who go unclothed in the marketplace, they go with a tank top, right? That's called unclothed, right? You go or bare in the marketplace, not by the swimming pool, not by the swimming pool. We're talking about by the beach, right? That's a different story of modesty, right? But we're talking about that you're going in the marketplace, right? That means, right, you're kind of uncouth. You're a base person or debasing yourself, right? When they are involved in noble tasks and the like. The rationale is that they are not concerned with their own shame. Well, right? Because what happens when you have shame? Then you act differently. Because out of shame, you won't act in a way that is against the Torah. But if you have no shame, right? Interesting how this law today, yeah, I mean, the law doesn't change. Even though today you have a lot of people, if you're going into, hot climates, that this is the way you go around. All these people are considered as dogs. They will not be considered, they will not be considered with testifying falsely. Not be concerned with testifying falsely. Why they consider like dogs? Because a dog in Hebrew is kelev. Kelev comes from the word kulei lev, all heart. They just do what their heart's desire is, right? And when you do your heart's desire, you have no shame. Including these are who partake of charity given by Gentiles in public. To take from a non-Jew publicly money, right? That's very shameful. Because a non-Jew is not going to, this is a generality, obviously, right? A non-Jew, when he's going to give you charity publicly, he's going to demean you. He's going to demean you. That means you have no shame. Although they could derive a benefit in private, they demean themselves to accept it in public without showing concern for their honor. All of these individuals disqualified according to rabbinic decree. Wow. Fascinating. This is fascinating. How we need to, you know, conduct ourselves and, be menschlich, if you will. All right.
Job. It's two people sitting on the street. One has a huge Magen David, the other one has a huge cross. And people pass by and they kick the guy with the Magen David and give money to the one with the cross, or vice versa.
Right.
And, one person feels sorry for them and comes and says, go back in different places. You don't need to be next to each other.
Right.
So one turns to the other and says, Moshe, it's trying to teach us how to make business.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.